Hi, I'm Xenowave, and today I'm going to show you how I made this sound. Okay, so before we even get to this patch, we need to make a formant, which is just a waveform with an exaggerated frequency, resonant frequency, however you want to call it. So open up the channel rack, load up in your Sytrus, however you want. I just right click on the whatever channel I have and I click on insert and go to Sytrus. And then right click on these arrows, click default, or go to the left arrow, click on presets, either or, whatever you want. Click on default. And all we need to do is go to the RM matrix, modulate operator 1 by operator 2. Go to operator 2, turn to a saw wave, make it half, and put the ratio to 0.25. And we'll get this. If you look at the spectrogram, you'll see what I was talking about with the formants. Or if you look at the oscilloscope, you should recognize this waveform if you are familiar with FM8. There it is. Okay, so we now go to the mixer, open up Edison, and record it. I'm just pressing C5, so that'll do it. What we're doing here is we're getting a single cycle from this waveform, and we're going to use that as a modulator in the main patch. So zoom in, delete all these cycles, and get a single cycle from this. It doesn't have to be too perfect. And then come up here, delete this extra, the silence. Delete. Oh, I pressed delete on my keyboard, by the way, to easily delete these chunks. Okay, so now we have our waveform. All you have to do is go into whatever operator you choose and drag and drop it like so. You can either drop it here or drop it here, doesn't matter. And that's how you do it. But okay, on to the patch. So, alright, so in the unison section, we have a unison order of 9. All these faders are down. And make sure that the oscillators, unison for oscillator only, is turned off. Operator 1 is just a saw wave. Operator 2 is our formant waveform on half mode. And if you notice, it's a slightly different shape, but it shouldn't affect the sound too much. In this case, it kind of did, but that's all right. You should still yield a similar result. This is the original. Make sure to save that. But yeah, I'm just resetting this for consistency. You drop your formant in there, and you should get something a little like this. And route the volume to mod X. This is the shape I chose. Mess with that as needed. And I also routed the modulation of operator 2 to mod X. And here's what it sounds like at different shapes. Adjust that to your liking. And that's it for operator 2. Operator 3 is just a sine wave with a volume of about 58%, or 60% if you look at the hint bar, just hovering over the volume. And I have I have harmonics 8 and 32 at percentages, at magnitudes 58% and 20% respectively. And I routed the volume of this operator to mod X as well, so that 3 is modulating 2 and in turn 2 carries that and is modulating 1, which gives it that really gritty timbre. Without it, it sounds like this. You may or may not notice the difference. It's definitely there. If I turn this to the right, though, you'll definitely notice. So on and so forth. And I crank the sine shaper up. That's what it looks like before, after. And that's operator 3. Operator 4 is just the sine wave. This is just our separate sub. And I routed the volume to mod X. I copied this envelope and applied it to wherever else I needed it when it came to volume control. Operator 5 is in the RM matrix. So this is just a regular sine wave that I added these arbitrary harmonics to. So harmonic 4 at magnitude 80%, harmonic 8 at magnitude 35%, harmonic 15 at magnitude 65%, harmonic 32 at magnitude 64%, harmonic 64 at magnitude 66%, and so on. All right, if we change this, well, even if we default this, it'll sound like this. So like I usually do, I added these harmonics for high frequency activity in the sound. And when you do this with RM, you can get a really gritty timbre. And usually when you skew as well, it just gets really nice and toothy, bitey. We might need to add the filter for some more control over the sound. So on and so forth. And in the RM metrics, I need to let the guy explain this. Operator 5 is RMing, remodulating operators 2 and 3, and move to operator 6. Operator 6 is just a square wave on even. That's it. And I route the phase to mod Y for different timbres, and operator 6 is ring modulating 2 and 3 as well. So if you look at the automation, actually, I have mod X and I have mod Y. I did draw out automation, but I didn't quite like how it sounded, but you can still have fun with this. All right. Or if you want it live. Yeah, it's a very neat little trick. And that's it for the operators. So for the filters, they are a nice talky valley movement. We have our peaking filter for filter 1. And I have the cutoff set at 37%, and the resonance at default. Gain is at 63%. So what I'm doing is, if you look at let's make the spectrogram. If we have the spectrogram right here, oh, it's a bit hard to tell. Let's exaggerate this, take out distortion as well. I route the cutoff to mod X and I'm sweeping it down. So this is happening whenever I use mod X. And that starts to build the valley movement. And I also increase the resonance as it goes down for just more exaggeration. And I have the low, so this low tab controls the gain. And so at the beginning of the modulation, it's starting below 0 decibels. And by the time it hits this point, it's at whatever, like it's at a higher volume for the gain. And I have distortion on. This is the shape for the wave shaper. And of course, I have flat and high quality on and triple mode. And I route this into filter 2, which is a high pass filter. And I just have the high pass sweeping up. So now I have the peaking sweeping down and the high pass sweeping up. There's our bass vowel sound. Sound like this. Notice how it doesn't sound too great. And we will see, I'll show you why in the future. Well, very soon future. Now, basically. So I'm increasing the resonance as I increase mod X for more, again, more exaggeration within the low mids, wherever it hits. And I have the cutoff at 50% and resonance at like at 50%. It's arbitrary. You can do whatever you want. And I have high quality flat triple mode on. And I route this into filter 3, which is our phaser, which is why we have the 9 voices. And I have high quality flat on, and I have alternate triple. If you see my earlier videos, you'll know what I'm doing. I'm doing the 90 pole phaser thing going on. But first, notice how I have the same shape or similar shape. Okay, I guess this is for cleaner sub movement. But I have the volume route to mod X at this shape just for a cleaner definition of the sound. And I have the default cutoff at 51% and resonance at 83%. So if I mess with these knobs, we can actually use some different pretty neat timbres. And if I actually mess with this as well, same thing. But it can all be pretty sensitive, so I advise you tread carefully with all this. And that's basically the sound. Yeah. And if you do want stereo, I suggest you turn on FX. I didn't like how chorus sounded, personally. So this default. This is what that sounded like. It kind of took away the grittiness of the overall sound, but I did like how turning on the stereo offset of any of the delays, it could be all 3. I like how that sounded. So when you turn that on, just move the delay time stereo offset either to the right or left, doesn't really matter, and turn on ping pong and turn up the volume to like whatever sounds good. So let's just try 34% and set the delay time to either 0 or something really, really tiny. So you get this. Let's just show the difference in span. All right. So on and so forth. So you can play with this as well. I found it to be a good alternative when widening such gritty timbres without ruining the timbre too much. So yeah, have fun with that. That's basically the sound. If you have any questions, let me know, and have an awesome day.